Hello and welcome to the Grianaig Creations podcast. My name is Kirsty and I am coming to you from the west coast of Scotland. Did I say this was episode 52? Not off to the best start here. It's episode 52! I don't have much in the way of knitting today. I do have a lot in the way of finished. No, start again. I do have a lot in the way of new things that have came into my household, and I know what you're all going to say. In the last podcast you said you weren't going to buy anything, you didn't need any more yarn, you were going to work from stash. That starts in January. I didn't say it was going to start in the last podcast. No, I said it was going to start in January. I will go into that later on. But like I said, I don't have much in the way of knitting or any sort of craft, and I'll go into that a little bit later on. But first of all, where you can find me here on YouTube, the only place I post this video. You can find me on Instagram as Grianaig_Creations. You can find me on Ravelry as little-b. And we also have the Ravelry group Grianaig Creations. To start us off, there is still a cowl going on, and that is the Undercurrent socks cowl. So the Undercurrent socks is a pattern I released in September. I released it just before Perth Festival of Yarn, and decided to run a cowl. So the cowl started on the 1st of October and finishes up on the 30th of November. So feel free to use the hashtag UndercurrentSocksGC when you're on Instagram or Facebook, and also to jump into the Ravelry group where there is a thread going on for that. So that's the only news to start off. Let's talk about what I'm wearing. I never do this part. This is my exploration station. This was done as part of a knit along with Rosie of Pixel Atlantis and the lovely Sia and Pip of the Tipsy Knits podcast. And that's not to say Rosie's not lovely. I love Rosie. We just attended her wedding reception in Edinburgh, and oh my god, she was such a beautiful bride. But that's going off topic. So this is the exploration station that I knit. It is knit using Undercover Otter for pretty much every colour but this one, which is a Mothy and the Squid. Apart from the Mothy and the Squid, I bought all of these yarns in Edinburgh Yarn Festival 2017. I want to say, that could be wrong. From wearing it, I want to knit another one. From experience of knitting the first one, what's going on with my laptop? I don't know if that'll show at your side, but my laptop camera just glitched. Okay. So from wearing it, I would love to make another one. And I would go up a needle size so it's bigger. But from the experience of knitting it, I don't want to make another one. I don't want upwards of 300 stitches on my needle. This is why I'm not partaking in the new West Knits mystery knit along. So that is my exploration station. I am also wearing a sockhead hat with slight modification in a My Mama Knits colourway that is folded at the brim, so it's less slouchy and less likely to just fall off my head. And I am all wrapped up because it has gotten chilly on the west coast. There is snow on Ben Lomond, which isn't too far away from where I am, and some snow on the surrounding hills and heading up north. So it has got a little bit chilly here. I love winter. I love autumn and I love winter, but I hate how cold it gets because it just does terrible things for my joints. So all wrapped up, staying nice and cozy, and I was also out not long ago. But yeah, I'm just dithering on now because I really don't have much content. Oh well. So I guess we should jump into the knitting. On my last podcast, I showed these off as a very almost finished object, and that is the socks for my mum. These are now 100% finished. Ends have been woven in. I just need to keep them stored somewhere. I might actually get a box. So do like a very late box of socks. But just to keep in to hand them over to her for her Christmas. Because these are all being knitted and held on to. Instead of knitting them and giving her them straight away, I'm keeping a hold of them to give to her as her Christmas present. So this is West Yorkshire Spinners in the Kingfisher colourway. I, excuse me, knit these on 2.25mm needles on a 68 stitch count. She asked me to go up a stitch count or go up a needle size, and I much prefer to go up a stitch count than I did a needle size because I hate the fabric that I knit on a 2.5. So, yep, West Yorkshire Spinners, Kingfisher colourway, all ends woven in and ready to be gifted. My next and only other finished work in progress are the very, very bright, amazing socks. So the story behind these is that I was going through a bit of a difficult spot. I was reaching burnout in my day job and was questioning a lot of things. I had completely lost my knitting mojo. I was feeling rather deflated and my depression was pretty active for the first time in a while. And I was questioning whether or not I actually enjoyed knitting or whether I knitted because people identified me as a knitter. And that's not the knitting community, it's more people outside of the knitting community. So people in my work, some of my family, so on and so forth. So I had stopped knitting for a couple of days. I didn't do any form of crafting. When I finished at my day job, I'm looking this way because that's where my computer is all set up. When I finished my day job, I went back into my room, chucked on my jammies and just vegged out for the rest of the evening. I didn't do anything. I didn't spin, I didn't weave. I thought about crafting a lot, but had no intention of doing anything. And then after speaking to Scott about it, because he was getting a wee bit worried, I realised that out of everything, socks was something I enjoyed doing. I really enjoy knitting socks because I love wearing them. So we were headed out one day and I didn't have time to cake up anything or deal with something in a skein. So I grabbed the closest ready to go yarn that I had, and that just happened to be all wool that ends wool in the glow sticks colourway that I purchased at Perth Festival of Yarn this year. And so it was just the first thing that came to hand. It was the first thing, well, maybe not the first thing that came to hand, it was the first thing that really caught my eye, that made me go, oh, those, and cast on. And it took me about 2 weeks to knit these, which is a long time for me to knit a pair of socks. I can normally rattle out a pair within a week, and that is by no way me gloating, that's just as it is. So the fact that these took me 2 weeks kind of tells you where my head was mentally. And I feel that if it wasn't for the being persistent with them and just picking them up every day, or even if it was every day, it could have just been like one round I put on them. But I feel like because I was persistent with it, it's helped me get back to the stage where I'm still getting my mojo back to do crafting. So I'm really, really glad I worked on these and that I kept with them. And you'll see that they have mismatched heels. And that is because I just didn't have enough yarn. So these are 2 minis from My Mama Knits that I got at another festival last year probably. and I didn't have enough to do a green heel and a green heel, so I decided to do green and orange, just because it is highlighter stripes and these are highlighter mini skeins. And these had been used in my changes show, so that's why I didn't have enough to do both. And I'm still thinking of maybe ripping out the toe and putting in, like, so for the green one I would use the orange for the toe, and for the orange I would use the green one for the toe. But I like the fact that I can get another repeat of the stripes in at the toe. So yeah, really, really glad I have these finished. Really, really glad now I'm recording so that I get to wear them. I try to keep them good and not wear them so that I can show them off the podcast and they're not a wee bit, not tatty, but they look their best when they've not been worn. But yeah, really glad I have these finished, because I find it tough finishing a pair of socks and they're not for me. So having these ones just makes it a wee bit better. I have 2 works in progress, and both of them are also at the whole stage, so that's a half finished object, and they're both socks. So I'll show this one off first. So my mum walked into my office and handed me a ball of yarn, and she's like, these are my next socks for my Christmas. And it was the West Yorkshire Spinners in the Robin colourway. I had wanted this yarn for a while, but I was unaware that my local yarn shop actually had it in stock. So when my mum came home and told me that she got it from there, I was pleasantly surprised and slightly kicking myself that I hadn't gone in to check. So cast on that very night, because I needed a mindless knitting project. I needed a vanilla sock, something that I can just go round and round and round and not have to think about it. So cast on and had this finished within 2 days. I decided to do toe up, and because they're from my mum, they're on 68 stitch count, 2.25mm needles. I done a fish lips kiss heel, and I am really, really proud of this heel because it's half cream, half brown with a wee nugget in between. I just think it was really, like, I couldn't do that again if I tried. Yeah, it looks like there's some cream on it, but that's just because it was that part. But yeah, I probably couldn't do that again if I tried. And I increased a wee bit on the leg, and then I didn't do as long a cuff as I normally would. I don't even think it's just an inch, and the reason for that is because it was coming up to where I started. So for that I have very, very close together socks, because I don't know how my mum feels about mismatched socks. Like, so say I started at the gold instead of where I did. I don't know how she feels about that. But I'm really happy that these are pretty much at the same point. So they should look matchy-matchy without being matchy-matchy, because I can't be bothered with that. And I am a good amount in. I am there on the second one. So when I get to the gold, I'll need to measure or count how many rows I've done so that the second one is the same. And then I can start the fish lips kiss heel and then fly through the leg and the cuff. But yeah, really happy she got this yarn, and I am hoping, well, I know I can get a second pair out of this and they'll be for me. So these will be my first pair of Christmas socks and my mum's first pair of official Christmas socks as well. Or at least Christmas themed yarn. My mum's already getting like 2 pairs each socks out of me so far. So that's the third pair. But weirdly enough, I'm now about to show you the second pair. So that's that. next up is my Undercurrent socks. And I have misplaced... No, I haven't. It's right in front of me. So I have one finished. I love how this yarn looks like it's micro striping. And it's just the way it's dyed, so the lighter one is at the sides of the sock blank. You can really see it here on the heel and on the foot of the sock as well, like the underside of the foot. But you can't see the lace very well. And I didn't think about that when I chose this yarn. I literally just opened up one of my yarn boxes, picked what I could reach and cast them on in the car, which is becoming quite a habit of mine, and I'm going to have to organise my box, or at least cake up some yarn in that box, so that if I have to pick something I can maybe put slightly more thought into it, because it's a shame that you can't see the lace pattern very well. I don't think my mum minds, but I don't know. If I'd thought about it, I wouldn't have picked this yarn. So that's one done. And I am two-thirds of the way through the second one. I think I've got another 8 repeats to do before I can start the heel. And then I do 12 repeats on the leg, and then I do, I think it's about an inch cuff. Yeah, an inch on this one at least. And so this is the Undercurrent socks pattern that I released in time for Perth Festival of Yarn. This is for the Cal that's currently going on at the moment, and Cal doesn't end until the 30th of November, so you still have time if you want to jump in and have a go. But yeah, these will be finished soon enough. I like to have a vanilla sock on the go along with something patterned. It just happens to be that I have 2 socks on the go. They seem to be my go-to at the moment, and that ties in with what I was saying earlier. So yeah, I'm getting to the point where it's starting to micro stripe a little bit less, because there's less lighter yarn at the edge of the sock blank. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the second one knits up, and then I will cake up the rest of the yarn, weigh how much I have, and probably be able to get another pair out of it, but with contrasting possibly heels and toes. But yeah, and that's been kept in one of my pouches that I make, or made, and it's in the snowman. I love that movie. I'm such a child. So that's all I have in the way of crafting, really. The next bit of crafting I have ties in with the fact that I attended the Creative Craft Show at the Glasgow SECC, which is the Scottish something conference centre. Scottish Exhibition Conference Centre? I think that's right. And when I was there, I did purchase a number of things, which one of the podcast watchers has picked up on and was just like, hang on a second, I thought you weren't going to buy anything. I have my reasons, and I'll explain that later, but I'll show this off first. I decided to get a couple of non-knitty items, and that's purely for the days where, like I have not long experience, I don't have the knitting mojo or the knitting want. I don't want to crochet, I don't want to do anything with fibre. So I picked up a couple of jewellery kits, because I used to make jewellery. I used to do beading. Not this beading, but I used to do jewellery and stuff. Best way, I'm sorry, I'm shaking the table. So I picked up a kit and I started this. I got this done last night, and it's got some really pretty. I've still got a bit to go. Obviously, this is not just it. There's going to be other beads that go in between the triangles. We'll call them triangles. So I'm going to try and finish that off tonight. I did not give myself enough thread, so I wove in the thread I had at this end, and I start at this end to get all the other beads in, and then I make my clasp at this end, which is why I still have a bit of a dangle, but I do need to get a new bit of thread to do the rest of it. I'm really happy with this so far. I haven't done this sort of beading in a while, and it's just something different. It's just something to keep me motivated, creative, bunch of other words. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Something a bit different. I might give them as Christmas presents as well. We'll see how other people take them. They might not like them, but I like this one so far. So whilst I was at the Creative Craft Show, I did pick up some things that I did say I wasn't going to buy anything. I actually said that as of next year, I'm just going to try and work from stash. And that was going to be the case from last podcast onwards until I was watching a podcast and they were saying they're buying in things now because of Brexit. And it kind of occurred to me that when that happens, to get anything into the UK, we're going to have to probably pay customs. Where just now, we only pay customs if it's coming from the States. Or Canada. I think Canada was on customs. So I had a long hard think before I actually decided to buy anything. I talked to my mum about it to see if she agreed. I talked to my partner about it to see if he minded. I don't need his approval to buy anything. I certainly don't need to ask him if I can spend my own money. But I wanted to hear his thoughts on it. And the reason for that is because I put in an order with Host Garn. And I put in quite an extensive order with Host Garn. I thought very long and hard about it. Like I said, I spoke to my mum, I spoke to Scott about it, who doesn't know very much about yarn. I'm not sure why I spoke to him about it. And they agreed that my reasoning behind buying it was justified, that buying it now and getting it in would possibly save me a lot in the form of customs. And yes, there's nothing hard and set with what's going on in Westminster at the moment. We don't know if customs will become a thing. We're only speculating. But it is what it is. I made my decision. Get angry if you want. It's done. And so I put in a hefty order with Host Garn. It was just under 3 kilos worth of yarn. I don't regret it. It came very quickly. And then it came to the Creative Craft Show. I went with money I had saved, not the money I had just been paid with, because I went on payday, which can be very dangerous. But I went with money that I had saved up for this event. I was going with nothing in mind. I just wanted to see what they had. So the first place I purchased was Corelia House, which is up in the Highlands in Scotland. I've never been to their showroom. It's just a wee bit too far for me. If I'm in the area, I'll certainly look into stopping past, but as it has been, I have never been in the area, but I have seen them at the show several years in a row now. And they normally have very good displays and packs of yarn, like full 10 ball packs of yarn. They also have single balls of yarn, they do patterns, they do fabric, they do everything. And so I raided some of their buckets for their sock yarn. I came away with 4 balls of Regia sock yarn. And I also left with a 10 pack of Sublime Willow in a really gorgeous mustard yellow colour. I'm slightly obsessed with mustard yellow just now. Even though I haven't worn it in a while, I still love it. And with that pack of yarn, I had a project in mind. They had a sweater on their stall in that yarn, and I really, really liked it. It was that oversized, shapeless, warm sweater, and I really, really liked it. Slightly annoyed that the one they had on display had no seams. So I thought, brilliant, in the round sweater, right up my alley. They showed me the pattern, didn't think to look too much into it. It was more needle size and how many balls of yarn I needed. Did I need more than the 10? Was I going to be okay with one pack of yarn? I didn't want to buy two if I was only going to need like one extra ball of yarn. So they showed me the pattern, I checked the needle sizes, I checked the number of balls. I did not check the structure of the garment. Given the fact that the one they had on the show had no seams, I assumed the pattern that they were providing was also written as no seams. Get home, check the pattern, it's seamed. Not happy. Never done a seamed garment, not very comfortable with mattress stitch, but my mum and I are going to sit down and have a look through it and see if it can be turned into something in the round. If not, I'll try it seamed. I might just need people's help or guidance as to how to seam it. But it is what it is. So 4 balls of sock yarn, 10 pack of yarn. I think it's a bulky weight yarn or super chunky, whatever we call it here in the UK. And then I also got 5 fat quarters of fabric, and they're all for me. Out and out, all for me. I got 2 Nightmare Before Christmas and 2 Mario and 1 that has like balls of yarn on it. What else did I buy? Pair of scissors. I actually got 2 pairs of scissors. One was for my mum, one was for me. And 3, technically 4 jewellery kits, which was, one of them was this. I got 2 of the same kit purely because my mum wanted one. And I could have probably just bought the beads instead of buying 2 kits. But as it was, I just bought the 2 kits. I bought this kit, and then I bought some really beautiful cat brooch kit. It just makes 2 cats. So I'm going to give those a try, and it's purely so that on the days I don't want to do knitting or crochet or weaving or spinning, I have a craft that I could pick up. And it's just something different. I used to do jewellery making, nothing adventurous, but like I say, it's just something different. It's just to keep the juices flowing, keep me creative, especially when I'm in one of those slumps where I just don't want to knit. I don't like those slumps, I really don't like them. But I did do this last night whilst watching Star Trek Next Generation. I'm rewatching. And I really, really enjoyed it. I liked the fact it was just something different. So that'll be something to look forward to seeing. And then, so the Creative Craft Show was on the Friday, and then on the Saturday I went through to Kirkintilloch to see Katie of Celia McNeely's shop. She's had the shop a year now, and I haven't managed to get through to see her. And so made the trip through on Saturday, and I bought more things. I have those ones here. I don't have the other yarn I got at the Creative Craft Show or Host Yarn with me, but I have the stuff I got at Celia McNeely's. So I'll start with one of hers. So this is one of Katie's hand dyed, and it is on 100% superwash blue face Leicester in the Zapoid colourway. I don't know if you guys can read that. It is 366 metres and it is on a 4-ply. So I think this is going to end up really awesome, but I have no idea what it's going to become. So it'll be really interesting to see what this grows up to be. And then I seen this. This is Claire of Cookston Crafts. I seen this and I just knew it had to come home with me. These are going to be socks. I say these. This is going to become socks, and it is in the Colour Dash colourway. It is 4-ply superwash merino nylon, 75/25, 425 metres. I just love like anything that's kind of like partial rainbow and then other colour. So it really is literally like a blue-white sky with a rainbow, hence Rainbow Dash. And I also got 3 minis from Mothy and the Squid. This one's slightly blowing out the camera and I'm not sure why because it's just purple. And really nice blackish blue, and then a very light purple, pinkish purple with some speckles. So this one is Purple Bouquet. This one is Electric Blue. Yeah, I can't read that. And then this one is Stubby Squid. And I really only went with the intention of getting a set of 6.5mm needles because the pattern I got at Grianaig House required 6.5mm needles and 8mm. I have the 8mm, I did not have the 6.5, and I knew that because when I knitted both of the V-neck magpies, I had to knit it in a 6 because I didn't have 6.5. So I went with the only intention of getting some needles and came away with yarn. No regrets, none whatsoever. These will either go into contrasting heels, toes or cuffs, or into a scrappy project like a blanket or something. You can never go wrong with some minis, that's for sure. These are going to be socks. Not 100% sure what this is going to be yet. Possibly a shawl. I've had my design head on recently. Sorry, segue into the next section. I've had my design head on. I've got 2 designs that I currently want to make, with a third one brewing. So it's been really interesting. I've taken a step back from sewing and dyeing yarn for now, purely because it hurts. You guys have no idea how much it hurts me to sit at a sewing machine for hours on end or to dye yarn. And I know I had the shoulder surgery to stop that sort of pain, but I still get a sore shoulder when I'm dyeing yarn, and I get a horrifically sore back while sewing, which I don't understand because when I'm sewing I sit in the same armchair that I work in. So I'm sat in this chair for like 7 hours. Yes, I get up and down and move around, but I'm still sat in the same chair that I would when I'm sewing. So I'm not 100% sure why I'm in so much pain, excuse me, when I sew. But I am taking a bit of a step back. I still have 2 bags I need to make for 4 people. And I haven't forgotten about those. But at the moment I am having to be selfish and wait. Thankfully they're friends and I'm sure they understand, but I still feel bad. But I need to put myself first just now and let my body heal, or at least adjust to the cold weather as well, because that's not helping. So with taking a step back from the dyeing and the sewing, it's opened up all these ideas, which is really, really good, but also a little bit scary. I feel like I'm wading into waters I don't know. I have designed 3 patterns now. 2 are released, 1 is not. I do hope to get that other one released soon. But I wouldn't class myself as a designer. I've got a lot to learn when it comes to designing, a lot to learn when it comes to sizing, and just using the sorry, I can feel my eye twitching. Using the Word document application I use OpenOffice, so using that to format the file the way I want it. But it feels really good to have all these new ideas that I have already swatched one. I am casting on the second without doing a swatch and learning as I go. I have, oh, I just remembered I got 6 skeins of other yarn at the Creative Craft Show. That's for colour work. Just 100% wool, no nylon, no superwash, 100% wool and DK. 2 black, 2 white, 2 grey. Sorry, just realised that. But yeah, I do have some ideas. I have an idea for a hat, a shawl, and possibly another hat. So we'll see how that goes. But it feels really good to have the freedom to do what I want instead of being stuck in prep all the time. But yeah, I'm going to include some footage from the Creative Craft Show, and I don't have any footage from Bea and Katie's shop, but I do have footage from the drive-through, which I may or may not include. Who knows? We'll see what happens when I'm editing. But yes, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to cut it off here because I am now rambling like crazy. Yeah. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you when I next record.